good with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Morning, everyone. Welcome to the September 15th already meeting of the Board of County Commissioners. Madam Clerk, first item, please. We saw each other last night for long enough, so good morning.
Good morning.
And let's get started. Sorry.
That's right. Consent agenda?
There's just one item on the consent agenda. Are there questions?
Madam Chair, I would move to approve the one item on the consent agenda.
It's a motion by Commissioner
I'll
Cook.
second that.
Second by Commissioner Archer. All in favor say aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries 3-0.
New business, item A, County Clerk, number 1, consider all voucher payments.
Yes, Madam Chair, this morning we have one voucher report dated September 14th, 2016. Total amount of vouchers, $786,067.89. Significant items on the voucher reporting include $291,000 going to Capers and $101,000 going to the Bridge Fund. I've reviewed the vouchers. My questions have all been answered, and I'll make a motion to approve as presented.
Thank you. There's a motion by Commissioner Archer.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Cook. All in favor say aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries 3-0.
Number 2, consider correction orders.
I'll move approval.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Archer. All in favor say aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries 3-0.
Item B, Sheriff's Office, number 1, acknowledge receipt of correspondence from Sheriff Jones regarding the purchase of 17 IP Cameras Plus installation to be installed on 7 communication tower sites at a cost of $25,392.79 to be paid with 2016 budgeted funds.
Morning, Commissioners. Lance Royer with the Sheriff's Office. We're adding these security cameras to our 6 tower sites because of the damage that we've had in the past. We've lost about $4,000 with an air conditioner being torn up at one site. Another site, they broke into it, cut the fence up, broke into the generator, stole all the copper out of the generator, which cost us about $5,000 to replace. So we're adding these security cameras. Will email us, notify dispatch if there's somebody around those sites. So this is basically a security measure for the radio system in those tower sites throughout the county.
Thank you. Questions?
No.
I'll move approval of the knowledge of receipt. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Archer. All in favor say aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries 3-0.
Number 2, consider approval of request to solicit bids for the purchase of 80 in-car video systems.
Good morning again, Commissioners. Lance Royer with the Sheriff's Office. We are looking at replacing our in-car video systems. The current system that we have is becoming outdated and needing a lot of repairs. So we're looking to go out for bids, kind of some new technology that will actually save us money from replacing the old units. The old units were around 4,000 apiece. We're looking at these being somewhere in the neighborhood of 1,400 to 1,500 feet. So.
This is to solicit bids.
Yes.
I'll move approval. Is there a second?
I'll second, but I do have a question for
Yes.
the captain. With the most of the officers using Axon cameras, the shoulder cameras, or head cameras, are we really seeing a need for the in-camera car? I mean, cars cameras were where we started.
Absolutely, they are where we started, and there is still a benefit because there's a pre-recording piece on those car cameras that catch things prior to turning on the lights and sirens. So, for instance, that car that runs the red light in front of you, when you turn on your red lights, the camera goes back 30 seconds to a minute to 2 minutes, however we set that, and actually catches that violation in front of you. And there's some things that when you're sitting in the car, if the camera's on your shoulder, you may not see because of where you're sitting, the steering wheel, the dash, and the camera up front does get a better view. We also put cameras in the back of the patrol cars, so we actually get, when we have prisoners in the back of the patrol car, so we have a security piece there as well. So both the security for our officers, and we catch stuff if we're out of the car doing stuff and we have a suspect in the back seat, we actually catch them saying stuff on the video that they shouldn't be attorney was in the car.
Okay.
All right, thank you, that was the
Further
question.
questions? Do you have a question?
Do you anticipate this before the end of the year, this purchase?
We're hoping to do it before the end of the year, yes, sir.
I know it's difficult in balancing capital needs and personnel, but it seems like a lot of times we are lacking in personnel that we need out in the field. That's it. Thank you.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries 3-0. Thank you.
Commissioner.
Item C, Parks and Recreation. Number 1, consider approval of request to fill a vacant community events amenities supervisor position at a salary, including benefits, of $49,918.06.
Good morning, Commissioners. John Knight, Parks and Recreation. Am I the only one that's getting nervous about how far those cameras will go back? Holy cow. This item, Commissioners, is we had a position become vacant, and we're asking to open that. It's the one that runs our special events and the summer seasonal concession stands, other amusement operations. Yeah, Sean Osborne supervises that position within his division. He's here if you have any specific questions.
Okay. Thank you. Questions, Commissioner?
No, I don't. I would move to approve.
There's a motion by Commissioner Cook,
Second.
second by Commissioner Archer. All in favor say aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries 3-0.
Number 2, consider authorization and execution of contract C-263-2016 with Ann Haug to instruct fitness classes with compensation of $15 per hour to be paid when invoice is submitted.
Commissioners, this is a special services contract or a professional services contract for an instructor for one of our programs. Susan Hensler is here if you have any specific questions about this contract. And as a reminder, these programs are all run through our cost recovery policy, in which we have reestablished some fees, and this being one of those fees.
I'll move approval of the contract.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Archer. All in favor say aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries 3-0.
Thank you.
Thanks, John.
Item D, Administrative Services. Number 1, consider approval of request to sell surplus property.
Betty Greiner, Director of Administrative Services. It's time to sell surplus again. And part of this surplus, you can see, is from the health clinic that we no longer have. Also, there's quite a few vehicles. I know Michelle sent out emails on those vehicles that run for other departments to see if there was any need within the county for those vehicles before we, take them to surplus. Any questions?
I don't have any questions.
Move to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Archer.
Second.
To approve, second by Commissioner Cook. All in favor say aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries 3-0.
Number 2, update on expenditures and revenues.
Okay, and this morning I have our snapshot as of August 31st of this year. And we'll start out on the revenue side. There we go. Whoops. Too far. Okay, here we go. Start with our revenue, total revenue. And you will see that through August 31st, we had received $89,604,819 compared to a budget of $88,826,407. So we have a positive variance of $778,000. If you compare that to last year's number, we have a positive variance of $587,000. So we've received a little bit more this year than last year. This chart shows the total, but then it also breaks it down between the different categories of property taxes, other taxes, property-related fees, charges for services, and then miscellaneous. And you can see this chart shows, that the vast majority of our revenue comes from property taxes. The variance, as I said, was $778,000 from the actual to budget, and that is less than 1%, it's 0.78%. So within a very reasonable variance amount. And I'll go into the individual categories next, but I think it's also good to see, and this chart really shows, you know, when you're looking at the total numbers, how close it is, the actual to the budget, and that it is a very small variance that we're looking at here. Next, we'll look at the first category of property tax revenue, and we've received $72,836,213. This has not changed since last month, because we did not have any tax distributions in this month. Okay, the next area is other tax revenue, and we've received $9,282,037. We have a positive variance of $1,043,000, and it has not changed a lot from last month. But if you look at the, you know, if I'm looking at that positive variance of $1 million, that's broken down between special assessments of $570,000. We've actually had received more in special assessments. Some of it was catching up of special assessments. And the city-county highway tax came in at $322,000 more than the state estimate, and motor vehicles has come in at $223,000 more than the state estimate. Property-related fees, we've received $1,499,528. That has a positive variance of $408,000, and that is all in mortgage filing fees. And as you'll recall, we had one large mortgage filing fee that was almost $200,000, so makes up a lot of that variance. Next is charges for services. We've received $3,574,288,000. This one is under budget of $728,000, and mainly in two areas. The two areas are Parks and Rec, which is $591,000 less than budgeted. And you know, we've talked before about the weather. Especially May was a very wet month, and then 4th of July was also a very wet weekend. You know, and those are, so the revenue was extremely down on those areas. And then also the aquatic center, we had budgeted that would be open all summer long. And then the detention facility, the jail, was down slightly in their revenue too. And there again, this is revenue coming from outside sources, so that is just a guess of how much they will have from that. And then our last category on the revenue side is other revenue. We've received $2,412,752, and so that's a $418,000 positive variance. And that is we've received more investment income than we had budgeted, and then other than that, it's pretty much spread throughout the county in different areas. So if we look at our year-to-date revenue, we can see that 81% of it has come from property taxes. And we have received the majority of our property taxes for the year. We will have some small distributions that come in throughout the rest of the year, but we've received the bulk of it at this point. We've received 10% from other taxes, 2% from property-related fees, 4% from charges for services, and then our miscellaneous is 3%.
I have a question.
Yes.
And so, just for clarification, none of this revenue includes sales tax?
That's correct. That is completely separate. The sales tax from the state that we receive comes into the county. We turn around and send it back out. I know there's, you know, that will be mentioned on the vouchers when we're sending that. We send that back out to the JADO account, and then that is the expenditures come out of that JADO account.
I just want to clarify, it doesn't go into our general fund?
No, it does not.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
Betty, can you remind us what the total estimated revenues are for the county for a year?
About $100 million,
Okay.
right
So
around $100 million.
if we were looking at where we're at so far, we're at $89 million $1,600,604.
Right.
So we are
So we're
almost,
right around 90% of the revenue we anticipate for the year.
okay. I think it's just important to kind of remind, as we get to the next category, that almost all of our revenue for the year has been received.
Anything else? Okay. We'll go on to the expenditure side. You will see from this chart that we have expended $66,147,119. That is 1.697 under budget. And I will break that down into the different categories. That is again a positive variance because we are under our budgeted expenditures by 1.7%. And not a big difference from last month. The variance is pretty much the same from last month. We are seeing a little bit as the wage increases have taken effect. We are seeing a little bit of catch up there in those expenditures. So the variance, will probably stay about the same, hopefully throughout the rest of the year. But this chart shows the different categories again, and just kind of the makeup of the different categories. And it also kind of shows that we're a little bit below our budgeted amount and a little bit above the prior year in our expenditures. Okay, so our first category is public safety, and we have spent $26,426,884. That is $1,049,000 under budget, and that's primarily in three departments. Department of Corrections is under budget by $887,000. District Attorney's $107,000, and then the Sheriff is $82,000. And part of this too is that we finished all of our wage increases. So the different departments' budgets have now been increased for those wage increases. So that has affected those variances a little bit because, like I say, we had it in one pot. If you remember when we budgeted it, we budgeted into one pool, and that pool has now been distributed to the budgets for each of those departments. Let's see, if we go on to the next, public health, we have spent $6,595,016, and you can see that is just right on budget. And a little bit less than last year, and that's because of the health clinic. And we had some, savings in there. Okay, administrative services, we have spent $7,238,167. That is $123,000 budget. We're over budget by that amount, but it's pretty much spread between the departments, and still within a reasonable variance of the budget amount. Public Works, we've spent $5,921,675. That is $26,000 variance, so right on budget on that. And this, again, does not include any sales tax expenditures. Parks, Rec, and Expo Center, we have spent $9,890,520. That is $736,000 under budget, and that is, again, Parks and Rec of the same items that we talked about, where we talked about their revenue was down. Their expenditures are also down for those same two items that we mentioned, the weather and the aquatic center, but then also they have some vacant positions that they have not filled. And our last category is debt service. We have spent $10,074,858. pretty much right on, budget, and this does include all of the debt service that we will have for this year. Because in August, we paid the second half interest and the, principal. So these totals will remain the same throughout the rest of the year. Okay, and this chart just shows the different categories and the expenditures of each. Again, as always, you can see that public safety is by far the category that we spend the most money in. And this pie chart shows the same thing. 40% of our expenditures have been spent on public safety, 10% on public health, 11% on admin services, 9% on public works, Parks, Rec, and Expo is 15%, and debt service is 15%. Now, that debt service percentage will stay, the amount will stay the same as the others increase, so that percentage will decrease throughout the rest of the year. So, any questions?
Madam Chair.
Yes.
With this snapshot of the first 8 months of the year, knowing that we've received almost all of our income, looking at where our expenditures are at, obviously there's still expenditures that will be incurred remaining 4 months of the year.
Right.
Are we able to really prepare an estimate of where we stand? Are we going to be above budget, below budget, at budget? Are we able to prepare an estimate?
Well, right now, what I look at is this budget variance. And that, to me, is the best indication of where we will end up towards the end of the year. So right now, I would estimate that at this point in time, we will probably end up at the end of the year at about a $2 million surplus for the year. Now, that could change, you never know, and some of it is timing of when expenditures come in, but I don't know of any huge expenditures that have not been, budgeted or put into the budgeting process. So that's my estimate at this point in time.
Well, you've done a much better job than other governmental officials in estimating,
Yes.
not
I
casting any
agree.
stones. So,
Agree.
Mm.
thank you.
Questions?
Yeah, dramatically better, actually. And it's nice not to have a lot of surprises. I mean, it really is. But I think it's problematic in trying to estimate end of the year because a lot of times leaders will spend money before the end of the year, and that's just a fact of life. So I would be cautious about projecting into the end of the year, but it looks good, and so far it's nice to be on track. Thank you.
Betty, a question. I know this is for 2016 current year, but we just finished up our budget for 2017 about a month ago, and we have a few more things to do. We've adopted that, but we have some discussion to have on capital outlay expenditures for next year and how we might manage that. I'm just going to kind of toss that out there, and maybe it's a topic for discussion on an agenda at a later time, but just to start having those discussions, we have a number of needs in capital outlay and how we manage that going forward. So.
Well, and we had some discussion at the time of the budget hearings, and you and I have had discussions since that time, and just that, yes, we need some type of a systematic approach in looking in this, and in the past, it's kind of been a first come, first served type situation. Any items that I knew were coming, we tried to take those into effect, but I didn't always know what might be coming as a request, and I do think we need a systematic method. I mean, there's always going to be surprises, and we do need to account for those surprises and make sure we're in the position to handle those. But whether it's setting priorities as you as a commission, or whether it's setting a committee to look at, setting some priorities, I don't know exactly what you as a commission want to do, but we do have a list of the requests that were made on each department's budget that we have put together, kind of compiled that list, and they have put those into categories by priority of 1, 2, and 3, both for equipment and for facilities. So we do have that information, and I think, you know, as we've talked, there needs to be some type of a priority list set up as we go into before we go into the year. I think that would be very helpful.
Madam Chair.
Yes, Commissioner
Just
Cook?
a thought might be, it has in the past always been a first come, first serve, not greatest need, lowest need. Perhaps maybe if we were to schedule on our next department head meeting, laying out what all of the departments have listed as their number one, and that way all of the department heads kind of have an idea to hear what everybody else is talking about. Oftentimes it's easy to get into our silos of what we think is the most important, but when we hear the needs with the other departments, our needs may not seem as high as their needs.
Okay, good suggestion.
Yes,
Commissioner
very good.
Archer, anything to add?
No.
No. Okay, so sounds like we have our last department head meeting of the quarter, so we can get that scheduled and have that be an agenda item. But I think before the end of the year, to have some idea of how those expenditures are going to be made would be helpful. So, okay, very good, thank you.
Administrative communications?
Morning, Commissioners. Jeff Shaban, Kansas Expo Center. Today, through the weekend, very busy weekend at the Expo Center. Tonight, third Thursday, our fourth one, starting at 5 o'clock at Heritage Hall. If weather is not good, we still have the inside and plenty of room with music from Hector Anchado Band. And right from there, when it's done at 7, opening night for the Roadrunners, who are playing tonight, tomorrow, and Saturday. We also have the Kansas Reining Horse Association show and Sunflower Slide. Very, very busy. Over 100 stalls have been rented. And then a real big and fun event, Commissioner Cook says he takes advantage of, is the library book sale. That'll be happening, Friends of the Library over at Ag Hall.
Very good.
So hopefully you can all come out. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff. Anyone else? No? Commissioner Cook?
Oh, no, it's a very good JADO meeting last night. Thank you for your leadership and all of the work that you and the mayor and Representative Cohen have been putting forth and working through the Garner report. It's good to have that update. Thank you.
Yeah, I want to echo that. Excellent, excellent work. A lot of extra work that sometimes doesn't go noticed and certainly appreciated. A couple of items this morning at the Chamber of Commerce meeting. I had an opportunity to meet and hear from Dr. Tiffany Anderson, the new superintendent of 501 School District, and wow, what an energetic breath of fresh air she is, and she just brings optimism to our school system in Topeka, and wow. The other item is I did receive a letter from the Midwest Cremation Society, and I'd like to read part of it. It says, Charles Glenn, M.D., our current Shawnee County coroner, and his staff are professional, understanding, and always courteous to our need of serving a family with an urgent request to complete cremation. In addition, I want to stress how comfortable Dr. Glenn and his staff are to approach with such requests. We always feel as though we are the only urgent matter. In return, every family we serve, urgent or not, feels their much-deserved acknowledgement of their importance to be served timely. Accomplishing a timely manner would not be conducive without the communication and cooperation from the Shawnee County coroner and staff. And it's signed Terry Roberts, president of the Midwest Cremation Society. And I think things have dramatically changed in that department over the last few years also. And I wanted to recognize Dr. Glenn and his service to our community.
Very good.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Yes, we had the JADO meeting last night. I would have hoped to be out of there in an hour and a half, but it was 2 hours and 6 minutes, I think, something like that. But some good work was accomplished, and I want to applaud Glenda Washington, who's done an excellent job with the Small Business Incentive Program, and we expanded, added $150,000 onto that budget for the remainder of this year. So just great work being done on her, and her efforts are much appreciated. We have a bus tour coming up for JADO on November 9th, it's going to start at 4 o'clock and go till 8 o'clock, so more information to come out about that. And our next JADO meeting is December 14th, so I'm trying to think if there's anything else. I don't believe so.
Executive session?
Is there a need? Not, we are adjourned. Thank you.